Alright, what to play? Oh, didn't see you there. Hello, this is Shane is bored, and I'm kind of feeling like a card game today, so I think we're going to take a look at Sylvion. This is by Shadi Torbe, or Shadi Torbe, Shade Torbe. I am really bad with names. This is a card game in the same universe, the Oniverse, as it were, as Onirum, although this one has a bit more of a tower defense kind of a thing going on in card game form. Let's head downstairs and take a look. Alright, now that we're downstairs, let's open this bad boy up and see what it has to offer. One of the cool things that you're going to notice is that when you open up this box, it actually greets you with kind of a storybook atmosphere, something you may have read when you were a child. As you fold open the horrible flames of destruction, you're greeted by the cheery forest of Sylvion, which you are trying to protect. And of course, naturally, the rule book. Now, you're going to need this not only because you're going to want to learn how to play the game, but also well, come on, man, that's just rude. But also because you're gonna be referencing it a few times while you're playing. The cheery little red fellow that popped right out of the box is the Ravager, who is trying to destroy the forest. And as you open up the forest, you're going to see a whole bunch of cards because, well, this is a card game. Surprise! The basic concept of the game is again a tower defense where you are trying to protect yourself from the Ravager who is trying to destroy you. Now, your basic deck is going to be full of helpful cards to help defeat the menace. Naturally, these are all just shuffled up randomly like so. Now, one of the cooler things about this is your actual board is made up of cards. So you create the borders of your forest like so. Needless to say, the nasty, terrible cards that are going to assault you are also shuffled up and placed in 4 equal piles over here. In the basic game, it's 12 cards each. From your deck, you draw 8 cards, and that's your starting hand. So every single turn, you have the awful, nasty little Ravagers pop up. Sometimes there's special cards that have special abilities, other times it's just the elementals that are trying to destroy everything that you stand for and all that is good in this world. If a special ability comes up, you have to do that first. There is an order to them marked by the letter on the card, as you can see there. This one in particular actually makes the elementals more fearsome, so that is discarded. These guys would actually all be upgraded to various things. I'm not going to worry about doing that. After you've activated any abilities, they then move 1 space towards the forest. If at any time they are able to get all the way to your back border, you take an amount of damage equal to their value. Damage is simply noted by flipping these over. If at any time during the game, all of these become destroyed, you lose. Game over. That's it. Now, to counter these nasty little fiends, you have your deck of cards to protect you from them. There are things called fountains, which will prevent them from dealing damage. You have special cards that have one-time abilities. You also have trees that at the end of the game help you heal the horrible desolation that has befallen you. Nothing is free though, everything has a cost. In the upper corner there'll be a little water drop. In order to play a card, you must discard that many cards. In this case, we would be able to draw 3 cards into our hand. Pretty handy little ability. So as the nasty elementals march along, you check the combat values, in this case 1 versus a 2. If it's smaller, it goes away dead. If it's equal to, then it's a draw. If it's higher than, the thing's destroyed and gone. So the basic object of the game is to have all of your forest healed by the end. There's a final assault also where everything goes and attacks, and if you don't survive that, then blah. At the end of the game, any tree cards that you have also heal your forest for that much value. There's also a special card that allows you to heal, but that's basically the way the game plays. Now, this is all well and good, and it's not a bad game, but it's kind of uninteresting. It's not that you don't really have any choices to make, but it's pretty much lay down a fountain, maybe you play a special card. There's a couple tricky things you can do, moving guys around and preventing things from happening to straight up killing dudes, but there's just not really a lot to it. So it's not really much of a game. But thankfully, this is just the training wheels version of the game. There are a lot more cards to offer and a lot more treacherous things to befall you that will be added to the deck. Even better, there's a whole separate phase to the advanced game that makes it way more interesting. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and show you that. Now, when you play the advanced game, there's a whole new phase called mobilization, which is so cool. So, the whole idea, it adds a drafting mechanic to creating your deck and playing the game. You take all these cards, you don't need them right now, and just these jerks out of the way for a little minute, get out of here. During the mobilization phase, the first part, you flip over 4 cards. Now, from each of these columns, you get to choose which column you add to your deck. I am personally partial to this terrifying owl, so I'm going to add that card. You then add another card to each column, and then a group deserts. You flip over one of these cards, and it tells you which numbered column goes away. So these are permanently removed from the game. You will never use them. You then go back to the first step, adding a card to each column, and again, you get to choose a column to keep. We'll say this one for sake of argument because I'm lazy and I don't want to think about it. You then again add another layer. You can go as deep as 4 cards, and again you draw a deserting card. Look at that number, that column is removed from the game, and so on and so forth, and you proceed. This adds an awesome drafting to the game that you never quite know what's going to be in your deck. On top of that, every time you reshuffle your deck, we'll say for sake of argument that this is our discard pile, you either choose 2 cards of your choice to remove from the game, or you randomly select 1 card from your discard pile and remove that from the game, then you have your deck. So as you play, you're losing the cards that you need, giving you a little more stress to manage. After mobilization, much like the original game, you set up your base. Ta-da! The magic of editing. You have your ravaging cards, only this time there's a whole bunch more added in that add extra special abilities and new things that you can play and fiddle with and just generally destroy you. Those are supposed to be a little more exact, but I don't care. Play proceeds the same. Things come up, they move along, they knock out your stuff, and you do your best to mitigate that bad luck. And if you play with one of the expansions, the Ravager expansion, you get to use this nasty little guy. But you can read the rule book if you really want to find out what he does. Now, you probably noticed that I used the word expansions, and the box claims it includes 2 expansions. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't. It does, but they're not expansions. They're the full game. There's the basic game, there's the advanced game, which is also fantastic, but then there's the game with expansions. As far as I'm concerned, that's the full game. The ultimate game you're going to be playing is the advanced rules with expansions that ramps up the difficulty a fair amount, that also gives you a lot more interesting choices and a lot more fun things to play with. There are things from the decks that come out, they stay out here, some hurt you, some help you, there's some more cards that are difficult to dodge, there's betrayal cards in your deck which are just awful to deal with and very much hurt everything that you're doing. So really, there's a game and an advanced game and the actual real game that you're ultimately going to be playing. So, is this game for you? If you like card games, you're looking for a fun solo game, takes 30-ish minutes, maybe a little bit longer if you're like me and you're kind of slow because you like to think everything through, or if you're just a fan of the tower defense genre in general, you're probably going to dig this. It doesn't hurt any that the art is fantastic. The quality of the components, obviously you can't really feel them yourself, but the cards have a nice finish. They're good and sturdy. There's this cool little guy which comes up. He's a jerk, but whatever, he's there, so that's cool. The bottom line is, I would definitely recommend this game, especially if you're a solo gamer like myself who predominantly plays solo games. It's entertaining, it's different than most things you're going to play, very few tower defense card or board games in general, and if you're a fan of Oniverse, there's also Castellion, which I'll probably do a review of in the near future as well. Actually, both of them, because these games are all very cool. I would definitely recommend it. It's only like $25, so it's a good value for the game that you're going to get. This has been Shane is Bored. I hope you have enjoyed the video. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up and like it. I would certainly appreciate it. Also, feel free to subscribe, and then you can be alerted when I get new videos, board games, or video games, or maybe other random stuff that pops into my stupid brain. But until I see you next time, game on.